Good evening, everyone. I'm Tom Kalaga of the New York Times, and it's my great pleasure to welcome you to the first ever New York Times Food Festival. Yeah. This is a food festival as big and exciting as the city that inspired it. All this weekend, there's the park, food tastings, live cooking demonstrations, and more just down the block in Bryant Park. Then there are the nights, 7 evenings of exclusive dinners at 10 of New York Times food critic Pete Wells's favorite New York City restaurants. And here in the TimesCenter, there are the Talks, a series of discussions with the most interesting and vital voices in today's food scene. I'd like to give special thanks to the sponsors of the New York Times Film Festival, our presenting sponsor, MasterCard, our major sponsor, Uber Eats, our wellness sponsor, Yogi Tea, our event sponsors, Diageo, Sub-Zero Wolf, and Cove, our supporting sponsors, AARP New York, Badia Spices, Deloitte, and Resi, and our contributing sponsors, Joe Coffee Company and REI. And now on to our program. While we can't actually say the name of Action Bronson's documentary series out loud, we can tell you that the rapper and gourmand has brought together food culture and pop culture, not to mention weed culture, in boundary-crossing new ways that have inspired a new generation of gastronauts. Tonight, we'll hear more about his seamlessly dual personality career as he talks with not one, but two of our journalists. Now, please join me in welcoming to the TimesCenter stage food editor Sam Sifton and Times pop music critic Jon Caramanica, and our special guest, Action Bronson.
What's up? I like the way he ran on stage.
Mr. Wonderful.
What's up?
There he is.
Thank you.
Get it in. There he is.
Like I said, I'm glad that it's not a weird three-quarter chair.
Height. Yeah. You like the chair. It's
this
good.
is a good chair. It's not a weird height.
Yeah.
My legs aren't dangling.
That's good. Fresh off a shift at Con Ed.
Oh, yeah, you see that? Funny story. I went to do a podcast one time in some nice place downtown. And I asked the guy, I'm like, where's the studio? He's like, downstairs. I'm like, I go downstairs. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? There's no one down. There's boxes. I'm like, yo. And he comes down, he's like, look, it's right here. And he's showing me the fucking fuse box. I was trying to be fashionable, you know?
Right. It's the dangers of New York City vintage. Is that you might have to work. Someone might be like, oh, postal. Okay. Yeah, my package ain't come. What are you doing?
Welcome, all of you, to the New York Times Food Festival and to this idiosyncratic conversation that we're going to have tonight with Jon Caramanica, of course, pop music critic, Action, and myself. And we're going to talk about food, we're going to talk about hip hop, we're going to talk a little bit about criticism. We've got two journalists here for one subject. I think that's a good...
That's fine.
That works for me. But I think...
no anxiety.
The whole idea...
This is
heavy shit.
We're going to interrogate you.
For this.
Yes.
You're not high?
Yeah, I know.
I am.
We're just
trust me.
We're just gonna
just ground that
just
up.
roll that up.
But here's the thing. The three of us are children of the city. We're all New York City kids, and so I want to establish some food bona fides.
Wait, but are you not gonna explain what the sort of raison d'etre of the panel is? Like, how did we arrive at this panel?
Well, I just wanted to talk to you two guys.
No, but about the lyric. Like, do we not want to?
Oh, yes. There's question of the lyric.
So Action Bronson invented this panel 7 years ago. Well, there is a song where you say, Arts and Leisure, peace to Jon Caramanica.
Thank you for that piece. If you don't know, this man wrote he wrote a New York Times piece. He gave me the fucking cover of that section a long time ago. It correlated with food as well. My man Josh Ozersky did Meatopia. That day, I was the Maharaj of meat, which means I was a judge. I just walked around with a tank top on, sweating profusely, eating meat all day. And then that night, I actually had to perform one of my first shows at Gramercy Theater.
Right.
And you wrote a beautiful, gripping piece on me.
I try to be gripping. There's also a good photo of you. I don't know if it's in the piece or maybe low in the piece of you. You had stepped out of your shoes and like stepping on your shoes.
Yeah, no, I couldn't even get them on anymore.
It's a beautiful thing. And then the second part of that lyric is Sam Sifton, rate the plate that I'm feasting on.
He did.
We'll skip what comes
We'll skip
before and after.
there's other stuff.
All that's irrelevant.
We'll excise that.
And we're working on merch for that. So
Yes,
we'll get
hats
that.
TK.
That'll be in the Times store soon.
Yeah. Shouts to my
Never.
merch heads.
Yeah.
It's all right. Hit my Instagram. Maybe I'll
It
give
could
you.
happen. All right, so
merch.
so three
Yeah.
kids
We'll make
of
my
New York
merch.
City.
We'll do it.
I want to hear about your early New York City food scene. Like for me, the slice shop, the particular Chinese spot, etc. Let's start with you, Bronson. What was that spot? What were those spots? Those Queen spots that were like, go back to high school now, that were absolutely crucial to your development as a person of taste.
Well, I went to Bayside High School in Queens.
Yes.
And every day from where I lived, I had to take 2 buses. So I would take one bus to Flushing Main Street and then end up transferring to another bus to take me to Bayside. So on Flushing Main Street at that time, it was unbelievable. Everything that you could imagine going on. I mean, now it's a wonderland, but then it was just starting. You had to know the spots. So I'm talking about just like dim sum here, Korean there, barbecue stand with the sticks, the man making like squid on a stick right on the corner by the optometrist. You know? He has the wood going, he's blowing on the wood. It's just a beautiful thing. You remember that type of thing? There was laser tag down by Northern Boulevard, a weird little laser tag spot. They would play Mortal Kombat music while you played. It was nuts. You know? Right on that corner, Kennedy Fried Chicken, the center breast, the side breast. They cut it into three pieces.
Right.
You know, you have to get the most out of this stuff. So the center breast always had the most flesh, so you wanted that. It was good stuff. It was good growing up over there.
In Sheepshead Bay?
Sheepshead Bay, yeah. So obviously Rollin' Roaster.
Yes.
Anybody? Yeah, that's right.
Shouts to the roast.
I was out there, Avenue U.
You know what it is.
Cousins are out
So
there.
Joe's of Avenue U.
Yep.
Out in real Sheepshead Bay, Papa Leone's, which is the sort of around the way. What?
Damn, hello.
Well, we gonna party afterwards.
Yeah, there we go.
Every party at Papa Leone's tonight, 10 p.m. It's about to be lit.
We're taking the bus.
Yes, we're really doing it. Basically, there were a couple Chinese spots on Staten Island, like really like, you know, OG poo-poo platter type first wave Chinese spots off Highland
You were in the
Boulevard.
car culture in high school? You were driving across that bridge?
I mean, all my cousins are Staten Island. All my Italian family is Staten Island.
Got it.
Have a car early when you're not near trains and stuff.
Yeah, and my dad fixed cars for a living, so I was driving from 14. So all my Italian family is Staten Island, my Jewish family is all Sheepshead Bay. So between those two, you pretty much had everything. Also, R.I.P. El Greco Diner on Emmons Avenue,
Oh, sad
which
to
is
see
now
that.
like a 22-story apartment building. So,
Diners are the best.
This city, it's
Gems.
changing.
yeah.
All right, just a few more bona fides. We're going to stay in the past, and then we'll move into the present. And later, we're going to take some questions. There'll be mics there, and you can line up and ask a few questions of us as you choose. First restaurant you took a date to?
My house.
Nice. Set the scene for us.
I'm just telling you, I had, you know, I'm a chubby man. I was a chubby child. I've always been handsome and, you know, just absolutely stunning in the face, but, you know, like, you know, so I had to learn how to cook, you know,
Yeah, it works.
to make sure that, you know. So I think I made some like weird pasta dish with like zucchini and shit. What the fuck was I doing?
As like a high school student, you were eating
12
zucchini?
and 13, yeah.
Wow, throwing down with the
Advanced.
zucchini.
Very advanced.
Advanced, came through.
I
You closed.
believe it was actually in season as well.
A chef even then.
Yes, sir.
JC.
Probably Ambrosia Diner, First Avenue, East 16th Street, which is where the old Stuyvesant building was. So we would get food there, me and my high school girlfriend, we would go there and maybe sometimes eat there or go to the park on the backside of the building and go there. And there was also a diner in Fresh Meadows, Queens, and I'm gonna maybe you know the one. It's right off 188th, off of the LIE.
Palace.
Yeah, but remember it had like...
Now it's a Chinese restaurant.
Yes, exactly, that.
Now it's the dim sum spot. It's
Yes.
pretty good.
Yes, that's where my high school girlfriend lived.
Palace Diner?
Yeah,
It's
right.
not that impressive. It wasn't a great spot.
No, but
I'm not
no.
questioning your taste.
That's fine.
I'm questioning
I
their
was-
management.
that's... Anybody here repping Palace Diner?
Right, I don't know Palace Diner.
It's totally possible.
That was a nice
But
one.
yeah,
We're
Fresh
going to give it a
Meadows,
break.
The Fresh Meadows finest.
All right, so we could talk about this all night. I mean, talking about food in New York City with New York City residents is like the greatest conversation on earth. But John and I were talking a little bit earlier about Queens in particular, and you kind of alluded to this in talking about your high school eating experiences there. This is this cornucopia of cuisines, right? And it really it kind of informs not just who you are talking today, but I think your work as well.
Yep.
Do you think that's the case?
Absolutely. Like I said, Queens is the ultimate melting pot.
Right.
Like, I don't even know how many cultures you could find there. Just in one neighborhood that I lived in, it's unbelievable. You're eating Indian food, you're eating this, you're eating that. It's just like you're trading cultural ideology without even knowing when you're young. You know? When you're going back and forth to each other's houses and you're eating food from one family, eating food from another family, sleeping over, doing having parties and shit.
Is that how you got comfortable in other people's homes?
Well, I come from an immigrant home. I come from a home where half of my family didn't speak English. The only one that spoke English was my mother. And my father a little bit, but he got better as the years went on. And my grandparents learned a little bit, but I grew up with Albanian food, eating this crazy shit. I didn't know what the fuck I was looking at. All I wanted was bagels. I wanted hamburger and bagels, obviously. Pizza, And I got this, but I learned to love it, and now it's like, I treasure it.
Sure.
Do you think, John, you can take a run at this question when I fail to land it correctly, but do you think that experience of seeing the wild juxtapositions of cuisines and cultures throughout Queens, do you think that informed your lyrics, the way you write?
Absolutely, 100%.
Landed it.
Just my life experiences. I've done lots of things. I fucking removed asbestos. I took asbestos out of buildings. I've mixed concrete. I worked in kitchens. I fucking stocked the shelves at Key Food back in the day. I used to steal all kinds of cold cuts. You understand how many cold cuts I had in my house from the show, my lord. Look,
From the deli counter or
from the deli counter. This was the trick. You used to go to Subway when it was good. You get the Veggie Delight, $3. You get some chips, and then you take a pound of honey turkey, and you just stuff it in there, and you have your homemade sandwich.
Clean finesse.
Wow.
It was early days, yeah.
Wow, that's a recipe you'll see on nytcooking.com.
No, but
You jest, and yet.
And yet.
And yet.
now you get 100%. All that stuff influenced me, just growing up in an immigrant house. You see crazy shit. I've seen frozen meat thrown across the room at someone's head.
You see that in non-immigrant homes as well.
That happens in the office.
Not in the Pope.
Yeah, that happens on the fourth floor.
I saw that last week. So
We want a nice trip.
yeah.
John, I'm going to ask you to take a step back as culture critic and talk to us a little bit about the relationship between food and hip hop.
Yeah, it's interesting because the thing that Bronson did so effectively was take this kind of polyglot fluency and make it utterly natural and also locate it in the context of a 90s rap sound. And when you think of the 90s rap style, what you're really seeing is a genre and participants starting to come into their own as worldly, as men and women of the world. So you got flickers of references. You'd have fashion references, maybe you'd have a Mr. Chow's reference or whatever, but that was really the first time that elegance or anything sort of like haute really found its way into rap music. And so Bronson in many ways is the logical endpoint of that era where someone who is completely conversant in that can locate those reference points in that style. And you see it, I would say what Rocky did with fashion is not radically different from what you did with food. someone who is fully New York,
Right.
fully informed, and born of a sound that we all were raised on to varying degrees, and then re-injecting it back into that crucial sound.
Yeah, especially at a time where it was needed the most. You know, when I first started hitting the scene, you know, the sound had kind of shifted to a...
Got a southern thing.
Yeah, just a different route, you know? Like, New York wasn't really taken seriously in the music game like that. I'm not saying I changed anything, but I sure as hell did exactly what I wanted to do.
Right.
And to this day, I do exactly what I want to do every time I do music. For me, when I travel, I get all this inspiration. I go digging for records in all these different places in the world, and you get the vibe from all these musicians from the past, and you bring that back and you channel that in you, and I feel like that's the best soul music that you can make, you know? Just, it already has the soul of legend, you know?
But you're doing this not just in music, right? You're also doing this on television, or as Jon has famously put it in a review of one of your shows, a kind of anti-television or a meta-television.
It is. He got it right.
So
He knows me.
He does. So I want you to talk about that, but Jon, I'd like you first to kind of explain what it is you meant by that.
So basically, there's two eras of, well, actually there's multiple, but the two for these purposes, Fuck That's Delicious, which starts on the internet, and then
here we're calling it Gee Whiz, That's Delicious. That's just, it's a time style book.
Maybe you're on Red Hook, I don't know. Deep at Bay, I don't know. So That's Delicious, and then the Untitled Action Bronson sort of quasi-talk show. And so, to me, what was fascinating...
Don't forget Watching Ancient
Aliens, I know.
Yeah.
I want to say things are ingested on Watching Ancient Aliens, but I don't know that the food festival is covering them. I don't think so. Maybe later. Maybe
later at the diner.
Yeah, okay, we'll be back for that.
We'll talk about that at the after party at the diner.
I'm waiting. So for That's Delicious, what it did is it took the sort of travelogue show, but instead of kind of having what we have come to think of as like the omniscient food narrator who just like sort of like dive bombs into a place and is like, well, I'm going to tell you all these things, you did sort of a post-Bourdain thing, but with a hip hop spin. So that kind of like destabilizes what that style of show was. Then in the second wave, you sort of bring the world to you. You're like, I don't need to go travel. I'm gonna make everybody come to my house or my kitchen, as it were, or the vice office, R.I.P.
Goodness gracious.
Right. So doing that was, I think, for food television, incredibly important because what it said is, here's someone who has a forceful personality who can reorient, who can basically create a narrative about food and culture on his own. Not necessarily, you went to the world, you learned, and then you brought the world here.
And then that becomes a kind of freestyle rap.
That show is, I need a DVD of every episode of that show. Like, honestly, I would just have it, if I could just have a monitor in my home, like on the corner, just playing it on repeat, I would have that happily.
That makes me feel good.
One of Jon's first jobs in kind of the world of journalism was essentially like annotating
the accurate
stuff,
yes,
right? And I think that if we could have that running with the annotation,
with the pop-ups,
with little pop-ups, explain it.
Video,
we could bring the 80s back, first of all.
That's true.
So another business idea launched.
So if anybody works for a Netflix or a DVD company, feel free to holler at us. We are happy.
And we're ready to go.
Happy to
My contract is up as well.
Okay. Yeah, mine too.
We're into negotiations. We're entering free agency.
That's true.
Does that square with your experience? Like that's how, what was your intent?
I mean, just growing up watching Bourdain and Andrew Zimmern, I don't know, like sitting in my underwear with my mother watching this shit, she loves it, her friends love it. It's for that, it translated through a lot of different age groups. And I feel like we do the same thing, even though we're not that type of, it's a totally different vibe.
I actually had a question building off that because I was thinking a lot about, I remember I saw you, I'm not really up early in the morning. That's like not a thing I do. But occasionally when I'm up early, I turn the TV on and I saw you like on Rachel Ray.
Yeah.
Like in some morning hour that is not a comfort space for me.
Ridiculous.
That's a special moment.
It is. But I was wondering, given your personality in the music and given how specific your presentation was in your televised products, when you go into those other spaces, do you feel any like ambient anxiety of like, how does Action Bronson make sense on Rachel Ray? Like, how do I make it work?
Nah, I've performed live in front of 60,000 people, 100,000 people before, you know, in South Africa. So there's really nothing that shakes
You
me.
can flip a burger with Rachel Ray.
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't.
nothing.
I mean, it's, you know, it's the talk and do it at the same time that you got to get used to. But after a couple of times doing some of these shows, it's easy. Just go up there and be yourself. If you fuck up, you fuck up.
Right.
Well, so
I brought there's a pizzeria across the street from where I grew up called Napoli Pizzeria, owned by some, you know, Afghanistan men. They're great people, great pizza. They invented the baked ziti slice. So they're asking me to do some sort of cooking segment. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck am I gonna do, right, you know? So I go on Seth Meyers and I just bring him a pie of this shit. I reheat it, it goes on fire. And it was perfect.
Yeah.
It was perfect television. Everyone went nuts.
All right, so there's two. That is perfect television.
And then I threw ice cream sandwiches out to the crowd.
I mean, nothing today, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Well, okay.
Let's see.
So it seems to me there's like two things you're doing on TV. You've got the entertainer, but you know, I'm going to stride into your lane a little bit, John, and make the argument that with the Untitled Project, you're actually doing a form of journalism.
There's no doubt about it. And I feel like that was cut short and taken away from me because of situations that were internal. It had nothing to do with the show, because everybody that came to that show that's been doing television shows for 20 plus years comes up to me after, oh, this is the most fun I've ever had. This is unbelievable. I can't believe you've made this world. I'm so happy, like giving me hugs. And this is like Lydia Bastianich. And this is, you know what I mean? This is like fucking Ricky Smiley. People who've been on Def Comedy Jam and Comic View.
Big Ricky Smiley.
I love that man, you know what I mean? Like, and this is, you know, from every walk of life, and
it was sort of like it was like, I don't know about high budget. You can tell me about the budget.
It was
like high budget public access meets deconstructed.
Absolutely, it was my Wayne's World,
perfect.
man.
Yeah.
It was my Wayne's World in the kitchen, in my environment. I was hosting everybody. I had the band going. It was just a good time. It's like where you want to hang out every day.
Right.
I was drinking nothing but natural wine at 11 a.m.
Yeah, is that when that show was filmed, at the time of day?
Oh, man.
I was
Yeah,
curious.
it was like,
There was a lot of
it was from 11 to 3. We knocked out 2 a day somehow. Yeah, it was definitely, I work. I get the job done, you know?
Yeah.
I do. When I go full in, I go full in. I'm not doing anything that I'm not putting my heart into. That's just, I have no time for that.
I think that's could be said of John as well. And
Sure.
I want
You reach a point where
you got to do
you know who you are.
Yeah.
exactly who you are. This is a man who knows exactly who he is.
Accurate.
John, when did you figure out, like, whoa, I'm going to be a culture critic. I'm not going to be an academic. I'm not going to get a doctorate.
Probably when I dropped out of grad school when I figured that. When I left and when I bought a one-way ticket instead of a round-trip ticket to leave London. But the fortunate thing about me is this person who I am allowed to be in this building is who I was when I was 13 years old.
That's something to think about
It is.
as an editor.
It's accurate. It's deeply accurate. But I just was fortunate enough to pachinko my way into a job that supported and allowed that. But the kind of baseline, like, I'm gonna tell you what I think, I'm a historian, I'm like making connections between different scenes and genres, that was something that I was doing on the school bus going to poly prep in 8th grade. So if I was already doing that and I ended up a lawyer, like that would have sucked. But like my weekends maybe would have been interesting. But I just like, here we are, dumb lucked into this job. But that was always who I was. Very fortunate.
Very fortunate.
Yeah, I'm sure the same is true of you.
I had hair when I was 13, long, lustrous hair. It was really
kind of hair? I can't imagine.
It was like, bro, it was like surfer hair. It
love
was
that type
so
of hair.
great. It was,
Did you ever use
salt
sun?
in it? Oh, sun in, lemons in my hair was great. Long.
The zinc and the sun in.
Yeah, tie it back a little.
Little visor action, maybe?
Wings. I could wear a visor. It was awesome.
Yeah, no doubt.
Visor is an underrated hat.
We got to bring it
The
back.
head covering is, yeah.
I feel like buckets are back now. We're going to bring visors back next.
Please, the upside down visor
to the
backwards.
side, upside down and on the side.
We are bringing the culture back. How do you write?
With my right hand.
No.
Standing on my head, sometimes with my left foot, like Daniel Day-Lewis. You know, it's all about when you feel inspired. It's not like for me, it's not an everyday practice. It's when I feel inspired. You know, I paint a lot now just for my own therapy. You know, I'm doing different things. Like you see with the olive oil, I'm trying to venture into different things, into different arts.
You're in a movie.
Different arts, yeah. Oh, I'm in several movies.
Oh,
That's right. Mr. Act.
Let's get it right, buddy.
Sorry, that was a loud flex. Let's just everybody take a second.
Nah, no one knows yet. Listen, but I am in The Irishman. It's a nice part.
Yes.
Thank you.
I'm excited about that.
Don't make me blush. I did a scene, it was a walk and talk with De Niro. My first scene, you do a walk and talk. It's hard enough to talk, but to have to walk and talk, heavy. But it ended up being amazing. You know, like I hugged Al Pacino about 5 times backstage.
Creepily, yeah.
No,
Like on him?
He came up to me. He had a hairpiece on, so I was like, I felt better about myself. Joe Pesci, I kind of clammed up. I just told him he was a legend of my life, and I told him I loved the Super.
Strong look.
So, you know, Ruben Blades, a.k.a. Ruben Blades. You know, that's a great movie. Yeah. I don't know, Martin Scorsese is just...
Did he talk to you? Was he all right with you?
Yeah. He's the one who asked me to be in the movie.
Fantastic.
Yeah, because him and his family or whatever, and his cohorts are all fans of Fuck That's Delicious. You know?
Amazing.
It's just crazy how things end up.
You put things in the world.
Bro, let me just say this. My cousin Vinny is probably, you know, it's like this much of me. You know?
Is Marissa Tomei here?
I was in the movie this
Is
year
Marissa Tomei here?
with Pesci and with Tomei.
Tomei, another
I can't even fathom that. I'm in a movie with both of them.
Unreal.
So it's
whatever.
You
It's
feel
cool.
this.
It's fun.
Yeah,
It's mind blowing.
It's light work.
It's mind-blowing. Light work for you.
Light flex.
But you feel this relentless need to create.
Oh man, I can't sleep. I'm just constantly thinking I need to move. I need to do something. I'm on vacation in Woodstock with my lady. We're just laying there. I'm looking at the sky, but I'm doing things. You know, I'm listening to the waterfall, but things are happening in my brain. It doesn't stop. That drive, for me, doesn't stop. That's what keeps me going.
It's interesting because for me, for John, like we're motivated by deadlines, right? Like I have no real way of knowing if you took the deadlines away, whether that urge to create
Don't take the deadlines
would be
away.
there.
You gotta create artistic deadlines and interesting ones. Like when I put out Blue Chips 2, I said I was gonna put it out the first day that it rains in November.
Sam, that's when I'm gonna file my next piece to you.
know
Just FYI.
Yeah.
That's when you're designing something. I'm gonna be like, rains are coming.
When it rains,
Sam.
look at it.
Coming.
November 1st, the rain fell, and I dropped it. So I kept my word, and my word was strong with nature. So
That's perfect. Natural wine,
yeah,
baby.
it's really you have to base your deadlines upon nature.
That'd be an interesting newspaper.
Was not expecting that. But you write fast
I learned to write fast.
because your newsletters
Because I
are
have-
like intense and multiple.
Yeah, they come out 4 times a week.
Yeah,
So
that's a lot
it's
of writing
a lot
for a person
of
who's
writing.
not primarily a writer anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm working as an editor, and yet I'm filing 4 times a week, which is like
Yeah, you messed up.
it's,
Now, let me
I
ask
made a
you this.
mistake somewhere.
Yeah,
Are
that's
you
a problem.
dictating or are you actually writing it in pad?
Yeah, I would love to. I'd love to lie on my back in the newsroom
great
and
feeling.
dictate to someone. No, I'm sitting there. I'm
I hope the union allows that.
Yeah. It's my process.
I'm sorry, is there any guild representation here tonight?
Yeah, no, I sit there at that computer and just crank it out. And
I like writing in a book. I like the actual form of pen in hand and writing, until the knuckle hurts.
and my knuckle,
that.
I wouldn't have a knuckle. It'd be gone.
Yeah,
It'd just be going.
You have to hold the pen like that, like a child.
With my left
Like a
foot.
crayon, like
All right,
jamming
I know
a
we
crayon
want to
in
get to some questions from this audience, but I got to ask some speed round questions, all right? We'll start with Bronson.
Yeah.
What is the quintessential New York food?
Man, it depends on where you live and who you are.
I'm asking you.
For me, quintessential New York food is a bagel. It really is.
And how, and is it just sitting
It's
there?
okay.
Yeah, it's okay, you can clap.
Can applaud for a bagel. It's fucking delicious. They're really good. Yeah. Bagels are fire.
Really
Trust me,
attention.
it's very specific. You gotta have a good bagel.
Okay,
And there's
just
mediocre bagels
all over the place.
Wait, best
So
bagel?
And the
Where's the
biggest
best?
issue is that they put that much cream cheese on. What the hell are you doing with that? Most of it is in the napkin. Why
So
have
true.
a napkin full of cream cheese?
All right, so we got a bagel with cream cheese, but I need
Not
you
with
to
cream
describe.
cheese,
No?
Nah, I
You
don't
just
like
said.
it. No, the biggest problem with
Oh.
New York City
What's on your
food
bagel?
culture.
Give me the bagel order. I'm at the bagel shop.
Give me a bagel warmed up light butter, please.
Nice. So you want a
When I say
plain?
light butter, I don't mean drenched. Light butter, please.
Yeah, a plain bagel.
I like to switch it up. Sesame, poppy.
Everything.
Good.
I like a jalapeno.
Easy.
Jalapeno light cream cheese on a cinnamon raisin toasted. You know what I mean? You gotta
Wow.
get crazy.
Okay, so I hate to do this, but this is New York, this is what we do. You got to define that bagel for me, because bagels have grown so grotesquely oversized and pillow-like that there is an argument to be made that Montreal is creeping on us, that they're doing better.
I love a good Montreal bagel. But I've also had one of the best bagels I ever had in New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
From this dude named Al Brown. Ugly bagel. Phenomenal. Oh my God, it's double-sided. You don't know which side is the bottom. It's some crazy shit. But Queens, one of my favorite bagels it's called Utopia Bagels.
Yes. Love that.
Crunchy on the outside, doughy and fluffy on the inside. The hole is really tight at times. It's artistic. It changed, pardon me. Excuse me. It changes with the weather.
JC, quintessential New York food for you.
Nathan's hot dog, fries, and fried clams. Probably.
That's a Southern Brooklyn jump
that's,
right there.
I mean, I did grow up on the fringe, on the margins of outer Brooklyn.
Yeah. Well, you get that seaside vibe.
Yeah, so I think probably that.
All right.
And again, El Greco Diner, RIP, while we're here.
Sure.
Yeah, grilled cheese, hot. Square slice, regular slice. I asked those tough questions.
My Lord.
You're only going to piss off 50%. You're only going to piss off 50% of the people.
Oh, man.
So that's fine.
Goodness gracious.
I didn't think that would be the
I don't know what
toughest
to
question
say.
of the night.
I'm so torn right now. It's crazy. I want to rip my fucking hair out.
Oh, I love this.
Man, I'm fighting. Oh,
There's so many benefits to both.
man. You're in corner square. It has to be the corner, though. But it depends. I've been to several different pizzerias lately. This place, King Umberto's in Elmont. They got 3 levels of corner Sicilian. They have a thin one, a medium one, which is confusing.
Yeah.
And that one.
Pick a lane.
Yeah, come on, 3, do 2.
Yeah.
But I like a thin crust corner.
Nice. Just a few.
Hot pepper.
Yeah. Anything else?
Yeah, you gotta season it.
Yeah.
Parmesan, cheese.
Yeah. Cheese product.
Chemical.
Yeah, the
cheese
product.
dust.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the product, the craft one.
Yeah, there we go. Couple more food questions. What is the proper Action Bronson order at the plexiglass fronted Chinese joint?
at the plexiglass frontage.
Yes.
There's not many of those in Queens. You gotta go like deep. No matter where I am at any Chinese. Damn.
Tough putting them on the spots.
Yeah. I like General Torso. I do. I like General Torso chicken.
It's good.
Either that or sesame chicken. I like, spare rib tip when they do them really good.
Yep.
With hot mustard. Yeah. Hot and sour soup.
The standard orders.
I'm going for it. Yeah, I'm going for it. I'm not going to go Mugu Gai Pan. That's not something I'm going to get. But I do like lemon chicken. That's an underrated dish at the Chinese restaurant, the lemon chicken.
Often too sweet.
That's what I mean.
Sweet.
But you have the option. It comes on the side. The golden breading is where it's at.
Get it sauce on the side.
Always. You don't get the sauce on it.
Facts. We're learning them. It's great. Is a taco a sandwich?
No.
Not at all.
Nice.
That's fucking crazy.
This is a strange part of the internet.
It's what I like. I get into
Destabilizing.
It destabilizes everything.
It's a deconstructed sandwich.
All right, we're going to go to these questions. I've got just a few more wacky ones to ask because I've learned over the years so many things from Bronson. Last time I interviewed him, I had some crazy question about making travel easier, and you turned me on to the beauty of cashmere socks.
Oh, man. Cashmere socks, you have to take care of your feet. Foot care is it's quintessential to a perfect life.
Do you pedicure?
I do pedicure.
Yeah, sure.
I do. Because when you start ripping all your socks, the cashmere ones rip easy.
Yeah, of course.
You start
you
getting
can't wash. You have to hand wash them.
Of course, but it's like underwear.
Yes, it's a real thing.
Did you imagine when you came in tonight that we'd end up hand washing Action Bronson's underwear?
Wow.
If they've read any of us, probably.
Probably true.
Yeah.
Probably true.
Sometimes you got to do that when you're on the road and you didn't take enough drawers, or you forgot them.
John, I'd like to ask you about fashion.
About cashmere socks.
About cashmere socks. About fashion. I'll tell you.
Pantherella
You don't want to ask me about fashion?
We're coming back.
I used to wear Moschino.
Remember those days?
The 90s and early
21.
There you go.
I used to run up in Century 21 crazy. Iceberg, Moschino.
First of all,
Of course, you know that.
1998 is the only fashion year that I'm eBay alerting right now. So very much respected. I have Iceberg on deck at the house.
You got a lot of Mecca.
You're going deep into
This is what we're here for,
This
right?
is what we're here for, but I need you to just take a step back for us and help kind of situate the world of fashion against the world of hip hop and kind of introduce us to a language that will allow us to discuss it as seriously as you do in Critical Shopper and elsewhere.
I mean, the thing, and this when we were talking about Rocky before, we're at a weird moment in hip hop right now where we kind of take for granted that like the most famous rappers also dress. I mean, I don't actually know if they low-key dress well, but they dress expensively. But that's not how it always was. Like the era of the people that we looked up to, that was like a new thing in 93, 94, 95. You think of hip hop fashion in the 80s, it's basically, let's take starched denim, Run DMC, where we'll take Adidas, but we won't have shoelaces. They're little tweaks to kind of conventional formats. Only the aspirational moments in rap music don't really come until 93, 94, 95. And now we just assume that like, if Virgil Abloh designs a collection, obviously Playboi Carti is going to be in the runway show, which is like a really weird moment. Coming from my generation, that's like a very strange thing to just take for granted and just like, well, of course, like, why wouldn't Lil Uzi Vert have like 300 pairs of Margiela sneakers? It's unusual, but what it tells me is that hip hop, I feel like from a critical perspective, I try to operate from like hip hop aesthetics outwards. And that's true in fashion, that's true in music. Like that's the DNA that I was raised on. And I think now fashion is catching up, food is catching up, like all these other scenes, you see it in television and whatever, it's starting to become much more widely accepted. But I remember it wasn't that long ago that we were like fighting for that kind of acceptance.
Right.
So
my inspiration was Tretch from Naughty by Nature. I used to want to have a big like bike chain on my neck with a master lock.
You got the naughty gear?
Yeah, no, Carhartt.
No, but I had naughty gear boxers.
It was all
In,
about
like,
wearing
93.
Carhartt. Carhartt is everything in Queens. It's the uniform. Man oh man on Jamaica Avenue, the Coliseum Mall. That's where you used to get it. Smoky Branch, Army outfits, Army pullovers, Army pants. Yes, all military fatigues, all this military gear.
The spot on Houston, right off Essex, Burkina, when they used to
course,
have
they
tapes,
had
but
all that
also the
stuff.
military. Yeah, I mean, this is.
But the Man oh man literally had everything. They had Korean camouflage and fucking different worlds camouflage.
Yeah,
You know?
I remember when my mom took me to get my first Carhartt, in like
Which was where?
91 or 92, somewhere in outer Brooklyn, like a very random place in outer Brooklyn. But I was just like, you just felt like a rush of energy.
You had to
I was
wear it.
very young. Oh my
amazing.
God,
Had
I
to
still
wear it.
have it.
Starter, all kinds of sports paraphernalia.
How do you feel about it now? You're a father 2, about to be a father 3.
That's right.
Like, what's your relationship to fashion now?
I just walked in a fashion show not too long ago.
I can see that.
I literally wore these shorts. I literally was just on the couch, and I just came here. That's, you know.
That was the
how I
fashion show.
do.
That was the fashion show.
This is how I do. I'm getting ready. I'm trying to get out of here so I could go watch UFC, to be honest with you. My guy Israel Adesanya's fighting tonight. But, you know, I'm comfortable. I'm me. You know, I wear whatever I want. This happens to be a St. Alfred collaboration, even though they
Very
look like
rare.
a big pile of shit.
Very rare.
You know? Cashmere polo sock. This is a polo swim trunk. I could go swimming right now. You know? I feel like everything has to be collaborations, like this times fucking this times that, collaboration with this. I never like collaboration, Virgil Abloh times Untuck It. So, you know, like, it's fucking crazy.
I can't believe you just put that in the
I
world
can't-
because
I
I think
know.
it will probably
Trust
now
me,
have
it's
to
gonna
happen.
happen.
That's the gift.
It will
It's
have to
gonna
happen. Wow.
You know, like, it's just crazy shit, man.
That's the gift.
Wow.
All right, let's bring up these lights a little bit, and we've got these mics here, and if you can line up. Couple pieces of housekeeping. If you are thinking of saying, I have more of a comment than a question, sit back down,
Wow.
because we're not doing that today. We're just taking
I guess I can leave. That's my whole shtick.
Sir.
Hey, what's up, man? You're one of my biggest inspirations. I remember when I first heard about you, someone was like, yo, there's a chef that's rapping. And I saw your music video. I was like, yo, he's actually nice. So, you know, it's very inspirational. So my question is, I'm also an artist and I do other things as well. Like I'm a festival coordinator and I created a festival in Sweden. It's called the All My Friends and Stars Festival. And I want to know, we're going to add food next summer. And I want to know, like, what is your thoughts about like hip hop and food collaborations? Like, what do you think is like the next frontier or what's next for like food and hip hop?
Well, to be honest with you, I've been trying to incorporate this since the beginning. You know, I was literally writing some of my earliest raps while working in a kitchen. So I consciously made that effort to try and bridge those two things. So I don't think it always has to be hip hop, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't listening to only hip hop in the kitchen. You listen to salsa, listen to bachata, you listen to a lot of world music that doesn't have lyrics, that just has that vibe that gets you going, you know? So the collaborations are endless. Like I just said, Virgil Abloh, Untuck It. I mean, it's endless, you know what I mean? And I'm not really, say it one more time. Was there something else that I didn't say? I'm open to all types of things.
But you talking about collaborations?
I'm not really sure anymore. Collaborations, I love pairing, like whenever I'm gonna do some sort of show, I like to always do something special, create a dish. Or when I put my books out, we created some one-of-a-kind ice cream with Kith. I went over there, I burnt a whole lot of marshmallows and made a burnt marshmallow ice cream, which is one of the most unmatched to this day flavor combinations.
You also throw food to crowds.
Yes.
At my show, Terminal 5, in 2015, I was throwing all kinds of sandwiches. All throughout the country, I've thrown sandwiches. I did a festival called Outside Lands in San Francisco, and I collaborated with a man in this place called Suvla. He made a whole lamb for me. I was breaking the leg, throwing it in the crowd, throwing chickens in the crowd. People were going nuts, like catching it like Jerry Rice. And then there's some kid about 40 yards away. He climbs a tree 30 feet up. Someone throws me a chicken Parmesan sandwich. So I'm like, I point to him. He's like, I'm fucking ready. So you know I take my stance. I nailed him right in the lap. An inch to the right or to the left, he's down on the ground with a broken something.
You're gonna have a good festival.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
I nailed him with the chicken palm.
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us about your favorite meal you had with Big Body?
Man,
What? Wow. That's
I mean,
great question.
I've had
That's a good
so many
question.
meals with Big Body. It's
Is Body here?
no, Body's not here. Body.
We all wish.
He's in parts unknown. He's somewhere on the corner with a Latin individual.
Still loitering?
3 in the morning, cornrows. Nah, but yesterday we went on a pretty crazy escapade through the Bronx. We went to a lot of Albanian spots. We had burek in the morning. We went to an amazing spot that Pete Wells actually just did a little thing on Arthur Avenue. Taste of the homeland. It's always good having a meal with your friends and your family, you know? Don Pepe's, right over there. We get off the plane, go have some stuffed peppers. Vegan.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
I got a two-parter. First, when you go on tour, if you're going like around the world, like what's your favorite place where you're gonna get some food? Like what are you most excited about? And then, assuming the statute of limitations is passed up, did you ever actually fix college basketball games?
Oh. Hey, listen, I can't comment on either. I will say this. When you look at the schedule of where you're going, I've come to a point in my career where I pick and choose, kind of like around the country, like in Europe at least. If I want to do these certain cities and festivals and stuff like that, Copenhagen, Paris, always London. I love Sweden. I mean, unfortunately, there's situations that have happened there, but Stockholm is phenomenal, and there's great food there. I remember I got off stage at this festival called We Love Green in Paris. Immediately got into a taxi because they didn't have a fucking car waiting for me as usual. Bastards. I get into this little egg. I rushed to the Bristol Hotel, which is like, who knows, a crazy place, 3-star restaurant, Epicure.
Yep.
And I'm just, 10 minutes later, I'm in a suit, eating at this 3-star restaurant, 10 minutes off the stage. And it's like, these type
That's
of
a good
experience. It's unbelievable.
What's going on? By the way,
That's a beautiful shirt.
thank you. New merch hopefully coming soon.
Hey man, listen, we've had some issues.
As an up-and-coming like home cook and everything, what's one of your favorite things to just go home to and just whip up?
An up-and-coming home cook. That's fucking legendary.
Wow. That's legendary.
I love that. No, you're an amazing man. One of my favorite things to whip up, to be honest with you, it's a very homey dish. Get some egg noodles, boil them up, feta cheese, preferably Bulgarian.
Creamy.
Creamy, nice salt. It has some stature to it, so it doesn't just fall apart. You could even use the Australian stuff. Paprika into butter, and you just fry that. Egg noodles, cheese, mix it.
Beautiful.
Trust me, black pepper.
That's a good recipe.
Out of control. Peasant food at its best.
That's mitcooking.com next
Yeah.
week. Yeah.
You can also find that in the Fuck That's Delicious cookbook.
Oh.
There it is. Hold it up. Thank you.
Yep.
Hi, Mark.
I'm actually a New York Times bestseller, right?
Yes, you are. Yes.
What's up?
Say hi to Mark.
What's
How
good,
are you,
John?
Mark?
I got kind of a two-part question. One's really quick. Where, in your opinion, is the best French onion soup in New York? Because I've been looking for months.
Whoa.
And then the second half is, as an artist, like, how how quick are you to sort of make something versus buy it? Like cook something, if you're in the mood for a type of food, how quick are you to make it instead of go to a restaurant to get it?
Oh, good question.
I mean, the first question was
French onion soup.
Oh, the French onion soup. Georgia Diner on Queens Boulevard has a pretty decent one. I wouldn't say it's the greatest, but it's doable. Yeah, I like to cook at home. I like to make sure that I make things with my hands when I'm feeding my family. But to be honest with you, fucking caviar, all these things are very easy to order. So probably when I leave here, I'm gonna order a pizza, and by the time I'm home, it'll be there for the fight. So, it's all about your convenience and how you feel. You just have to do whatever's in your heart and just go for it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm a mom of college kids, and I really just have a statement. In our home, you give us so much pleasure watching you and your friends eat. We love to eat and we love to cook. And I just want you to know, as you're going about your life, that you're an example I use for my kids. And you said it a couple times, but you didn't really get to the heart of it, that when you just follow your heart and your passion, the universe really just lays out all the gold walkways for you to walk on. And I try to show that to my kids as much as I can, and you illustrate that. You make it very clear for me to give an example and watch, and it's
Wow. You've made my entire night. Thank you so
I know, that was,
Thank you.
plot twist.
A real clap for that.
Yeah,
and that was a comment. Also.
Yeah, it was. I like
that was
that
allowed.
comment.
Comments
That's
like that are
allowed.
Yes.
That type of thing.
You feel good?
Yeah, it makes me feel great. Absolutely.
Good evening. My name is Sam. This question is actually for Sam Sifton. Sorry.
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 All right.
You all
Double-edged
did
sword.
great tonight. Might just throw that out there. So I'm also a food writer, brunchwithsam.com, and I have a newsletter as well. So I really liked your comment that you made that you just kind of crank out the 4 newsletters a week. Do you have any advice for how you do that?
I'd like to know too, frankly.
Yeah. Well, you have to do it.
I have an idea.
First of all, I have to do it, right? Second of all, I got to do it in a timely fashion so that I can do my other job, which is helping reporters and critics do their jobs. So I do it in the morning. I kind of time box myself. I try and knock it out. And I know that it has to do, as you know from your blog, that it has to do a couple of things. And I know in the middle, there are going to be a whole bunch of recipes. And I got those all laid out, and that's easy. So all I need is a lead, a story, the weather.
That's right.
And I need a kicker, which is all the stuff that is going on in my life that I'm interested in that has absolutely nothing to do with food, but is vital to the culture, in my opinion. So that might be a fight video, or that might be a book that I'm interested in. And then once you've got that done, you're really just back to that lead. And that's what's going on in the world. And I'm trying to put myself in the mindset of the people who are opening this thing up and thinking that they're getting a letter from a friend in New York who is obsessed with food and has a pretty good life. And then I bang that part out, and then it's done, and I got to do it 3 more goddamn times before the end of the week. Thank you for your question.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Bronson, huge fan. One thing I think a lot about when I eat is the difference between eating with others and eating alone. So I'm curious about what are your favorite by yourself meals, and what are your favorite things to cook when you're just cooking for you?
My favorite thing to cook when I'm just cooking for me is just the pasta. Simple, beautiful olive oil, the freshest of the time of the harvest. Some beautifully sliced garlic. You toast it, then you turn it off, let it absorb the oil so it has crunch and softness. Maybe some greens, some leafy green or some broccoli. You could let it, boil down till that's part of the sauce. Or you could, keep it stable. But something around that, like a linguine or an angel hair or a bucatine, something in that realm. And what do I like to eat by myself in restaurant? Yeah, sometimes I like to go to this place called Taipan. They've closed it recently and it hurts me. They had the drums of heaven. It was like a Chinese Hakka-style Muslim situation. Unreal.
Drums of heaven.
Yeah.
Wait, was that the place that was by the Williamsburg movie theater?
Nah, this was a place that was on 183rd and Horace Harding.
Oh, okay.
Sir.
How you doing, guys? Action, thank you so much for being an inspiration to, I feel, everyone in the room.
Thank you, bro.
Being a creative and intelligent person, I'm assuming you would never get into the restaurant business, but if you were to open up your own spot, what would the concept be and what would the cuisine be, and what are the 2 dishes you wouldn't be able to miss?
Oof. Oof. Oof, oof. I'm into kebabs. I'm into spinning meat. But I would like to do it in a humane way, so I don't know. To be honest, I love all the aspects of a Turkish mangal, you know? Everything about it, the inside barbecuing and the spinning of and just making of the layers and stuff like that. It's near to my heritage, so I feel like I'd love to showcase that type of thing, Albanian, Turkish.
But oof, tough biz.
It's a tough biz. It is a tough biz.
Okay, so taking that, where's your favorite Korean barbecue restaurant in Flushing?
They just closed it. It was called Woo-chan.
My mom's here.
Hi, Mom. Oh, there you are. The owner of my favorite Korean restaurant. That shut down.
Wow.
You guys gotta open up again. I don't know what the hell they did. I love you guys. I don't know why you guys had to leave, but let's figure this out.
Wow. This is a much more warm-hearted session than
you were expecting.
we were expecting.
You thought it was going to be a real UFC undercard.
This is great.
We're to have a 24-hour Korean barbecue in Flushing. Any time, 8 in the morning, you want Korean. Let's go.
That's
right
what we
before
like.
Rachel Ray.
Yeah,
right before
sure.
Yes.
You need that.
No, low-key.
Hi. You mentioned King Umberto's, which is where we live. We love that place. I was wondering if there's any other place near King Umberto's that you love to eat at?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there was a place around the corner. It was like a Jamaican, vegan, half normal spot. I don't know what else to call it. I'm sorry. But she did this fried chicken situation where she took oyster mushrooms and she packed them on top of each other.
Oh, nice.
Kind of with like a wet breadcrumb and then fried it. And it came out like a fucking chicken thigh, like a KFC thigh. You know that like almost soggy crust, but it's good?
Yep.
Yeah.
That sounds.
But it wasn't soggy. I'm sorry.
It was just perfect.
Like, yeah, I didn't have the language to explain it right. That place.
Okay.
Yes.
It's right around the corner. I don't remember the name, but both
You'll find
real
it.
oxtails, and then she made mushroom oxtails, which were like crazy. She just took the little shiitakes and cut them kind of like that, and made them look like a...
Oh, like the oxtail.
Yeah, it was phenomenal.
Ital. Sir.
Actually, great segue by the young lady that came up and you talked about how her place got shut down. I was thinking, for the 3 of you guys, do you feel a certain obligation, or does it ever cross your mind if a place would, quote unquote, jump the shark? For instance, let's use DeFara's Pizza in Brooklyn as an example. I have been, I live in the neighborhood, have been there for a long time, and I brought friends there and hadn't been there in about a decade. And I went about 5 years ago and they were charging $29 for a pizza and a line around the corner. And I was like, this is fucking bullshit. I mean, no. But the thing is, the gentleman that runs the place is a craftsman and an owner.
Yeah.
And he is back there and he is working his ass off and he does it slowly and he deserves to make that money. And I guess it's his sons were, I don't know what was going on.
He deserves to make that money.
But to
you
that
don't
point,
need to
I was
go
just
there.
like, I'm not going back there anymore. And then these people, if you guys write something or somebody does something on a show about them, that place stays open. So does that go into your mind, knowing how much influence you guys may have over a family business for what may be a whole lifetime?
Good question.
It's
John?
The journalistic answer to that is
yes.
That's not my problem.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
The journalistic answer is what's my other option? To be late? To miss it? To ignore it? Is that actually a better solution? Now, I understand family businesses may not be sustainable to scale at a rapid clip, or in my case, an independent musician who maybe isn't ready for the attention, which certainly has happened. I mean, I've written about people who I give them tremendous accolades and a whole lot of energy, and then 6 months or 12 months later, they have, and maybe that's pegged to me, and maybe it's not. But I would much rather, my job is to document the culture as it's happening. That's the job. Right. There hopefully will be a manager, a publicist, a system in place to support the back end of whatever I'm writing about.
DeFaro's and Avenue J does not have a
No, I know. Dom, it's just Dom.
It's just Dom.
That's not your problem.
No,
I'm just
but
saying.
ultimately, journalistically,
it sucks when you go there and you're just like, fuck, these people came from Tallahassee, Florida to eat this pizza. I'm like, you some bitches are gonna pay $30 for a fucking pizza?
I went to Katz's recently during during the daytime, like 2 p.m., and there was a line out the door, and I literally tweeted, you should be able to jump the line at Katz's if you have a New York driver's license.
There you go. Exactly.
That's fair.
Nice.
So I'm not unsympathetic, but my job is to document, and I'm sure Sam feels the same, and you just sort of hope that there are systems in place.
Yeah, file this under the great New York line. Nobody goes there. It's too crowded.
Yeah, true story.
Sir.
So the first time I saw you was 2011, Rock the Bells in Maryland. You came out on stage with 2 joints in your mouth at the same time, like there were some tusks. It was iconic.
Thank you.
Anyway.
That's it.
That's the image.
Thank you.
That's the tweet.
So my question for you is, what rapper or group of rappers or artists would you like to have a meal with, and what would you eat with them?
Ooh.
I don't know, man. You know,
just pick one.
Who would I like?
G-Rap.
Yeah, I would love to have a meal with Cool G-Rap. Oh my Lord. I want him to take me out for one of his, he raps a lot about Italian food and Italian mobsters and stuff like that. Yeah. So I would love to get his perspective on Italian cuisine.
Perfect. Like a dinner at Rayo's.
Outer Queen.
All right, we got
maybe not Rayo's. I want him to maybe, something a little bit more.
Yeah. At a Maria.
Or a Fiore.
Oh, there we go. All right, we got to wrap things up pretty quick, but because I'm getting that hook sign, but we got 3 people up here, and I think we can deal. Sir.
Hey, on the show, you often see the alchemist not wanting to try the food when you guys go to.
I told him to come. He's in New York right now. He should be answering this. What's up?
How do you feel about picky eaters?
Hey, listen, everybody's a picky eater. You eat what you like. If you don't, what are you gonna do? He doesn't like it. You can't force somebody to like it. And the more you try and force them, the more they're not gonna want to do it. Who likes pressure? Who likes to have the pressure put on them? All right, come on already. Fuck out of here, man.
But you also said something earlier about growing up and being in a lot of different houses. So I assume that trained your palate when you were a teenager
100%.
To be open to a bunch of things, and not everybody had that experience. I didn't have that experience.
Exactly.
So not everybody does.
Experience.
And that's why you don't wear shorts.
That's true.
At all?
No.
Ever.
I don't believe in them.
Yes.
Might be one picture of me. Might be one.
So I
purposely did calf raises earlier for this. Trying to make sure my shits are pumped.
So I have a 2-parter. The first question is, have you and the Wu-Tang squashed your beef over a mafioso-style dinner?
No, there has never been a mafioso-style dinner, and there was never a beef. You know what I'm saying? There's, like you say, criticism with everybody, and you have to know who you are, and you have to know what the fuck is going on in your mind and who you are inside. And there's nothing that could break who I am, period.
Nice.
Okay. And the second question is, what is your favorite food that has got stuck in your beard?
Well, my wife's pregnant.
No.
Okay, there you go. I got the answer. Thank you.
Wow.
Is this still streaming?
That's it.
Still streaming?
I guarantee. I'm going to come in tomorrow.
Sticky ribs.
Wow.
Sticky ribs.
That's a euphemism.
I just hope my ID works tomorrow morning. I'm coming in.
I'm hoping not to come to the office.
All right, last question.
In all the entrepreneurial escapades of Action Bronson, can we ever look forward to an Action Bronson's restaurant of some sorts? And will it be located in Queens, New York?
About East New York?
In Queens, New York.
Oh, I mean, I would love to do that at some point. You know, you have to find time. You have to balance your time with all these different things going on. And I like to hang out a lot and just chill. So at some point, I would like to have something set up where, the thing is, I can't just leave it to somebody else. I want to be there every night,
of course,
cooking different things. There's no menu. You just come and I give you something and that's it. That's really my dream.
You'd Lucalia.
Exactly, Lucalia for sure. But he has a menu.
Right, but I'm saying
the off the menu. Yeah, for sure. Mark is a master at that.
Mm-hmm. This has been a tremendous conversation for all of us. So thank you very much.